Hello, this is Meg here, and I'm just going to go over some grading practices for Engrade so that any new teacher can check it out so you can see how to enter grades in Engrade, and any old teacher can have a refresher for that. There's actually going to be 3 versions of this video that are going to be going onto my YouTube channel. The version that you're watching right now is for 3 through 5 teachers. So if you teach grades 3 through 5, this is the video for you. If you do not teach those grades, you can go ahead and X out of this, head back to my channel, and you'll find another video for both K-1-2 teachers and then another one for 6 through 12, because the process is, while generally the same, is slightly different for those different grade groups. So this is the video for teachers in grades 3 through 5. So we're just going to talk about grading and linking standards and how that kind of looks in Engrade so that you can just have either a quick review or you can have a quick how-to on doing that. So I logged into Engrade. Right now I'm logged into our demo school. I'm logged in as a 4th grade teacher because it's 4th grade homeroom. So when you log in, it will look similar to this, except you'll see your classes obviously instead of my generic classes. So I'm going to start off by going to click into one of my classes so I can see the grade book and everything like that. The first thing that we're going to go through is we're going to talk about entering an assignment that maybe only has one standard, because that process is slightly different from entering an assignment that has multiple standards. So we're just going to kind of go through that, and then we'll just see we can play out that so you can see how that looks. So I'm in the gradebook right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click New Assignment. And I'm going to make my assignment name. And this is a single standard assignment. So I'm just going to call it that just so that we keep it straight when we're going through all of this. I'm going to do my points possible. So for this, I want my points to be 20 points, say. My due date, this isn't necessarily, it's not like the student can't turn it in past this due date. It's more the date that's used for lining your assignments up chronologically. So just be aware of that date for that. You can backdate if you need to and stuff like that. I'm going to click on more options. A couple options to just be aware of. The first one is choose students. Say this assignment, I only want it to apply to a couple of my students. I can go ahead and do that here. This would automatically exempt the students that weren't chosen, so it wouldn't affect their grade one way or the other, either in a positive fashion or a negative fashion, and just kind of saves you that step from having to put E in for all of them. So if you had a special pod of students that was just doing this assignment, you could just tease that out there and you wouldn't have to worry about it again. Then I've got my standards, and I'm going to go ahead and tag some. So for this one, I'm going to tag a single standard. So we're in math, so I'm going to hit the arrow all the way to the left so I can open up the folder of all the math standards. And then I'm going to checkbox the one that I want. So I've got one standard tagged. I'm just going to tag the first one, and then I'm going to go ahead and hit submit. Now from here, I can add a description of the assignment if I want to. I can attach a file if I want to. Those things are all entirely up to you if you want to have that for your record. This copy to class function is really nice, especially if you're in a departmentalized school. So say I am the math teacher for 4th grade, so I teach math for a couple different homerooms, so I can copy to my other math class, which is nice so you don't have to retype in all of the information for the assignment. That assignment will just be waiting in their gradebook for you. Most of these other ones you can just leave alone. You want the students to see this assignment. You can have it in the calendar if that applies to you. It probably is not going to be involved with the discussion, and same with turn-in. So you can just kind of leave all those as is. Now from here I can go ahead and enter the scores for my students. So it was out of 20. So my kids performed like this. You just use your up and down arrows to jump boxes, so that makes things really nice. And if you need to excuse a single student, it's an E. If it's missing for a single student, it's an M. Excused means that it's not going to count in their grade one way or the other. It's just going to be excused. Whereas the missing, it's going to end up counting as a 0. So it's just put in as missing, though. So we're going to go ahead. I've got my grades in. I'm going to hit Save Assignment. And voila! Here's my assignment. It's a single standard assignment, and I see my grades for my students, and they color code it, so I know if my students are, accelerated or if they still need a little bit more remediation with that standard, and kind of helps me out from there. I can also click on this assignment, and it'll give me like the 4-point breakdown for that, for this standard score. So here I see the assignment scores right there. And then if I scroll down a little bit more, it's also going to show me that green gradation where it shows me how they kind of performed on the standards too. If my screen was a little wider, it would all be showing on one thing, but I kind of have it cut off a little bit. All right, so that's kind of how you do it with one standard. Pretty easy peasy, and so makes your life a little easier too. All right, if we were going to do multiple standards, we're going to do that just a little bit different. Basically, the reason is if we did it the same way that we just did it for a single standard, say Gloria here. Gloria got, or let's use Claire. Claire got a 16. So if we did multiple standards links to this, 16 out of 20, it would spread that 16 out of 20 evenly over all of the standards that were assessed in that assessment. Well, that's not always the case. A lot of times the student may really excel in one standard and may have no idea in another standard. So giving Claire a 6 or what would be what the equivalent one on the 1 through 4 scale for all of the standards isn't really an accurate portray of how Claire is actually doing on each individual standard. So to get the information in as in the most detailed way possible, to do that, we're just gonna enter the scores just a little bit differently. All right, so we're gonna go to new assignment again, and we're gonna create a new assignment and MultiStandard. And I'm calling this 2 because I had been messing around. I already did a number 1 of this. So we're going to make it out of 20 again. And the date is fine. And then we're going to do more options. And I'm going to choose some standards. Again, the little arrow all the way to the left. And then we can choose standards. So I'm just going to choose 5 standards. We'll choose 5 standards. And then go ahead and hit submit. And now, if I needed to assign to certain students, I can do all of those options as well. Then instead of going and immediately entering the grades, I'm just going to save this assignment for now. So it's going to be in my grade book, and it's going to have no grades, and that's okay. So we're gonna fix that. So we're going to go and click into MultiStandard 2, and then the standard scores. And then you'll see it gives us a little bit of a different kind of view. It shows us all those standards. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in the student's overall score. So Gloria got a 16, Claire got a 12. And you'll see how Gloria got a 16, and it gave her a 3.2 for all of the standards that are related to that standard, because that is the equivalent of a 16 out of 20 when we break it into the 4-point scale. So he's going to get a 20, and see it got 4 for everything, 10, 8, 9, and 2. Cameron really doesn't know what he's doing. So it fills it out for us. But like we said, that's not always the case. Just because Gloria got a 16 out of 20 doesn't mean that she evenly knows all 5 of these standards. So what we can do from here is we can just kind of make some adjustments. Actually, maybe my data shows that Gloria really knows this standard. But this standard, she struggled a little bit more with. So we can just make those adjustments as we go and just kind of change the standards that we need to. You can use the arrows to go up and down, left and right, so that you can easily move from one to another and just change whatever you need to change. So he really got a 3 here, but he really got a 1 here. And notice it didn't mess at all with my overall score that's over in this column. It's not messing with that. So you can just feel free to make any changes that you need to over there without worrying about this score changing. So once we've kind of made any adjustments that are necessary to actually reflect how they actually performed on the individual standards, we can just go ahead and hit Save Score. And then, again, it's going to look just like our single standard when we're looking at it in the grade book. It shows us their grades. It color codes it out for us as an overall sort of measure. But then if we look at their standards over here, it's going to give us, we got to switch. It's going to give us the actual picture on how they're doing on those specific standards as they go. I hope that helps you to put assignments in and tag them to standards and see how it works for the 3 through 5 teacher. If you have any questions, please, as always, feel free to email me at msomerville@euclidschools.org. I hope you enjoyed this video and have a nice day. Thanks.